For the purposes of this video, this is April.
Hello, I really like the Phantom of the Opera.
When it comes to the Phantom of the Opera, April is what we call sad. Before the incident,
Don't call me an incident.
I had a serviceable knowledge of the Phantom of the Opera from everything I'd gathered from like pop culture and that. And anytime I say that, I almost always mean just The Simpsons.
Such a lovely plan.
I knew there were different versions, like a musical, an old silent film, and like a very, the most iconic unmasking sort of thing. But beyond that was basically in the dark to everything else. Sweet, ignorant darkness. Over these years, I've been slowly indoctrinated by every version of this goth in the mask man, so I thought, why not amalgamate them together into a tier list made by me and normal, so then we can offer my outside perspective on this sort of thing. There will be spoilers ahead, but I assume if you're watching this, you're already well endowed and that sort of stuff, so you know what you're getting into. I'm going to try and keep this to my own perspective and not just repeat things I've been told, but occasionally I'll try and bring in April like an expert on porn stars just to add a little bit, because, she's absolutely dying to. So, without further ado, let's go.
And why is that bag on your head?
No reason, except you gave me the ugly.
I have a strong love in my heart for 1960s Technicolor films, so I was recommended to start this descent with 1962's Hammer horror iteration of The Phantom. With this being Hammer, I had decently high expectations due to their iconic handling of other classic monsters. I did then wonder, however, why have I never seen any of this one in pop culture like the others? And that soon became apparent as a running theme with many of these adaptations emerged. Nothing really happens. No, wait, hang on, is that? I was also told that this film was ever so close to casting my boy Cary Grant. Now, for those familiar with my Letterboxd bio, hint hint, I'm quite fond of Mr. Cary Grant. So the whole time I couldn't help but watch and think, where's Cary? Whenever Carrie's not here, all the other characters should be asking, where's Cary? As I mentioned earlier though, the Technicolor and the sets look phenomenal, and Herbert Lom delivers an incredible performance considering his entire face is covered. There is such genuine emotion behind just those eyes. I like how they explore more of the man before he became the Phantom, so we actually get a greater grasp of the situation and his character. I've got to say though, why is his first thought with all of these, oh my god, I've been horribly disfigured, I must retreat to the sewers and create an elaborate lair? Like, lad, at least get some aloe vera on it or something. My god, the mask reveal was so forced as well. You can tell they needed something to shoehorn into, for the marketing to resemble a horror. What was the actual need? I can theorise it about it coming to terms with his looks and getting the world to know who he is, but, it didn't earn that. It's got great vibes and imagery and a really interesting portrayal of the Phantom, and for that reason I think it's a good start to the list with B.
Rats, we're rats, we're the rats.
Why are there so many of these, for f***'s sake? Dario Argento. You made that one great looking thing and that one epic monkey moment and you thought you could do whatever you wanted. I really cannot be arsed talking about this one at all, to be honest. It's not even really funny bad, it's just off-putting and disturbing, and definitely not in a good way that it thinks it wants to be. Terrible Phantom and disfigurement, why are you playing this role if you don't want to be disfigured, you knobhead? The undertone, what the the undertones, they're just uncomfortable. Dario, that is your daughter, you know that, right? No, actually, I know that you know that, and that's why it's so much worse. Even take that detail out of it, and overall just the abusive sexual energy in this one is just uncomfortable to watch. How did they get Ennio Morricone to do the score? It's like how Doug Walker got Rob Scallon to do the music for the War video. Oh yeah, he's also raised by rats. Yeah, that's funny.
He wasn't just raised by them either though. Also though, super fun fact, Argento actually made a movie before this in 1987 called Opera, which is the closest to a modern but really loose retelling of the Phantom story. It's actually not terrible.
This is bad, don't watch it, long live Anthony Bourdain. In case you couldn't tell, this unabashedly deserves its place at the bottom of the list, and I don't imagine anything else will be joining it there.
She still embodies all the awful stereotypes she did before.
But she's got a new hat.
The 1943 Phantom of the Opera is kind of simultaneously well-known and culturally relevant based on its imagery while also being completely overlooked. After watching it, I can see why. There's one major thing that really holds this Phantom of the Opera film back, and quite simply put, it's the striking absence of the Phantom of the Opera. He's barely present at all, often limited to simply shadow form. Now this is incredibly atmospheric in ways and does serve to build a certain presence for the Phantom. It's certainly a character that the great Claude Rains really suits very well, they just don't utilise him. The whole thing feels far too conservative, never going the extra step that it should. The one thing that this version has over all others, however, is his little hat. Look at it. Why don't more films look at his little hat? It suits him so well. I love his hat. This is a beautiful film to look at, but there's not really much else to write home, really. The mask reveal is decent, but it's essentially just a member berry to the 1925 version, but with a weaker disfigurement. Beautiful imagery and cinematography once again, but overall far too just understated and not something that really holds me, and I really wanted to like this one more. Perfectly kind of mid, nothing terrible, so I think first C tier of the day.
Lovely cushion header, but Gerard! You beauty!
Now, I was well aware of the reputation the 2004 musical adaptation had going in. I've heard many a repeated rant from many a different brunette woman, and yet, well, let's get into it. Right, now hear me out, people. I think parts of this are kinda overhated.
Did he just say, aye, he did?
And I'm not saying it's good, far from it, but I think people are far too dismissive of everything simply because it's the norm. For one, I don't think Gerard Butler is outright terrible at everything. I said I would no love at all to Gerard Butler, but people seem to act like he controlled every production and direction decision in this thing. The singing is all over the place. Any moment of quality and emotion is fast overshadowed by a perplexing, guttural belch of a note. But that is my point. There is quality. There are moments, mostly non-singing, where I think Butler genuinely evokes some half-out emotion, particularly the childlike innocence when he's left alone with the music monkey. I do feel as though he cared about this part, which is more than can be said for a lot of others. Some of the production design is genuinely really impressive and well made, and the supporting cast had a lot of depth to it. Big up Meg, Scouser. That really links to my larger thoughts and feelings regarding this one. To me, it does feel like everyone involved, besides Andrew Lloyd Webber, seemed to care in a way about this film. They just happened to make all the worst possible creative choices. It is really painful to see how much they wanted it to feel sexy, or not even fully committing to that, and it just coming across as an awkward teenage lukewarm mess at the expense of any interesting character and quality. The film gets lost in itself and doesn't really know what it wants to be or fully commit to any one thing. Is it unrealistic, supernatural, over the top? Is it grounded in reality? Is he just magic or not? Why is there a horse? It is also really uncomfortable how young Emmy Rossum is in this, but I do think that for herself she deserves plaudits for the performance given everything, going on. I hadn't seen the musical, so I can't speak for its accuracy as an adaptation, though I was certainly made very aware of it all by many people, April. But there is just there is an overarching feeling of off around this one that can't be shaken. Maybe playing it safe with this one, but it's not all bad, but it's definitely not good, so average it out with a C.
Crank your car to make it start, you will die of measles.
Here it is. The big one. I always find that when talking about revered silent films that it's hard to find the balance and separate feelings of appreciation and respect from the idea of actually enjoying them as a film in their own right. Thankfully for this one, it's easy to do both. I feel so underqualified talking about it though, because I know April could go on and on for days in expert level detail, so forgive me for butchering this with my lack of nerdability. It was so interesting to watch this in conjunction with the other versions, as it became so clear that even to this day they're still trying to replicate the feeling that the 1925 version both captured and created. No over the top blood and horror tropes can seemingly match the terror, ambience and perfect tension on display here. No matter what came to follow, Lon Chaney's performance and look is still the Phantom of the Opera. Every subsequent unmasking feels like it has to be there just because this one was so good, and none of them, even when good in their own right, come anywhere near to it. It just seems to understand and get so much right. Now I do have to be honest and say at times it did feel like it dragged throughout the runtime, but that may well just be down to my severely eroded attention span thanks to years of Instagram reels, but I digress. I also know that it's hard to fully comment because there are so many versions thrown together out there of this one that there's no official definitive one, or couldn't even tell you what one that I watched, but it was good. Either way though, through some flaws, this is still an amazing piece of cinema and history that even for that reason is enough to watch it, but I think this is really the Phantom of the Opera film, if I have to be honest. And because of this, there's no other place that this can really go apart from A. I mean, if this isn't A, then what is?
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are gonna love it.
Okay, this This is one of my favourite films that I've ever seen. I was completely blown away by this and I thought everything it's going for, the style, the colours, the world, the music, oh my god, the music, genuinely the Faust song and sequence is so good. I feel like I was genuinely mesmerised for all of it. Paul Williams writing the music and starring in this is fantastic. Swan is an incredible villain. I had no idea Brian De Palma was involved in anything Phantom-y, and seeing that he's made this made me look at the rest of his work completely differently. How he can pull this off as well as something like Mission Impossible or Scarface is remarkable. Paradise to me represents a perfect artistic convergence of style and substance. Every aspect of the production is at its stylised peak, but never in a way that comes across forced or unearned. I'd say Paradise embodies a unique, timeless quality in that it is overtly futuristic and modern in its portrayal of the old Phantom of the Opera, while also evoking a strong 1950s ex-nostalgia factor. It's so mad to me that this is Jessica Harper before Suspiria. She exudes such confidence and personality in her Christine/Phoenix performance, and yet maintains the naivety and timidness that is required for the role. I love that we get so much time with the Winslow Phantom character pre-disfigurement to emphasise and understand him as a man. He's not shown to be perfect or evil. He embodies a childlike innocence and ignorance to the state of the world, as well as a believable arrogance and pride for his work that serves to paint him as very human and a complex figure. This is far more than we get for most of the Phantoms, and it really sells the tragedy and emotion of his eventual downfall. Paradise feels like it's actually saying something more beyond the confines of the Phantom's story, while other versions address the idea of his music being stolen from him. They feel more like personal tragedies and confined events, whereas in Paradise I feel as though it better represents and critiques capitalistic creative industries at large and how they prey upon and exploit the hard work of genuine artists before repackaging the diluted and manufactured appropriation of their work, if at all credited. I could go on and on, but I don't think I'd be saying anything coherent anymore. This just gave me one of those indescribable feelings when you instantly click with a film and feel so seen and represented by something you didn't even know was there. In other words, this is just so me. I'm genuinely happy that I can put one firmly in S tier that I actually genuinely love and will come back to for years and years to come. Amazing film.
Do not touch Willie. Good advice.
This one's weird. It seems both surprising and yet so utterly obvious that at some point Robert Englund will play the Phantom of the Opera, given his other iconic disfiguree role. And you know who else thought this? Everyone involved in this film. Most of the film bombards you with the notion of, hey, remember Nightmare on Elm Street? That was good, so now this is also good. It's even on the poster. Ironically though, Nightmare on Elm Street does capitalise on the use of his little hat, as I said earlier. Unfortunately, it's a shadow that Englund himself cannot escape, which genuinely is a shame because you can tell he properly cares about this character and performance. The rest of the film just doesn't. It's so all over the place that I'm not even confident in my retelling of its all over the placeness. It starts modern and then goes back in a time loop with Christine or her ancestor, I think, maybe, I don't know. It's like half horror, half drama, treating the Phantom like a slasher villain but then also trying to sympathise with him. He is still like a flat out murderer and would have committed many unmonetisable acts with Christine if given the chance. He just doesn't really know what it is, tries emotion and falls flat as a result. It's hard to judge the disfigurement with this one because it's kind of done in reverse. He adds his masks, he goes along via Dharma-esque methods, which is kind of a cool idea but also a bit too much. Overall, just a big mess that introduces interesting takes and twists on the subject but doesn't really execute any of them. Sorry, Robert. This one could have been better, and maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but I can't see anything besides the D tier for me.
There were no wolves in this movie. 1 star.
One of the more unexpected and yet clearly mandatory experiences of a relationship is the prospect of having to watch a 3-hour made-for-TV film from 1990 in order to fulfill a special interest ranking video. If it hasn't happened to you yet, just wait. It's coming. This one strays the most from the standard beats and source material that the other films follow, which I have to say is a welcome and refreshing change at this point down my spiral. I was pleasantly surprised as to how much I really enjoyed it. Burt Lancaster is here somehow and plays the sort of manager of the opera house, but also, you know, proper spoilers here, he's secretly the father of the Phantom.
Are the father!
And he uses his position to protect and keep him hidden beneath the opera house. It's a very out there and interesting idea that adds a lot to this version, even if his reasonings don't really make much sense at points. The Phantom also has a much nicer relationship with Christina than we see in the others, with very little romantic implication, more so an unusual maternal yearning type of thing, which, you know, sure, it's not even like the top 5 weird uncomfortablenesses in these films at this point. Charles Dance is great. I think he creates the softest and most sympathetic Phantom that we've seen, while simultaneously embodying the biggest spoiled brat kid energy you've ever seen. One thing I really love about this one that sets it apart is that we never actually see his face in disfigurement. This is a really interesting choice and feels like such an obvious path that more versions should have taken. You don't feel cheated or underwhelmed by it either. It perfectly suits the tone and character of this version, especially given how insecure and resistant this Phantom is regarding his face. More so than any other, I genuinely felt sad for him when Christine reacts in horror. Overall, despite differing the most from the source, I feel like this one really embodies the essence of the character in a far more interesting and emotional way, and I feel like it should get more attention for that. So for this reason, it's quite a surprising final entry into the A tier where it gladly belongs. Well, there we have it. Every version of the Phantom of the Opera, neatly packaged and boxed off, never to be thought of again. At last, I'm free. Finally free. Fine. Yeah, what do you want me to say? It's great. Let's just get it over with and get it all so far out of here. We all know. Overall, I do find it really cool that there is essentially a Phantom for every decade, genre and style. It becomes a fascinating lens by which to observe the changes in cinema and culture over the years through manifestations of the same source material. It is a real testament to the evolving power of art and highlights how one story can be moulded and shaped into entirely new experiences through different creative voices. I think it's apt and fitting that a source material like Phantom has been the vessel for this expression, given the themes at its heart about art, recognition and voice. Going through a process such as this, particularly alongside someone who's very much an expert, is such an invigorating experience. I feel like as though while I have lost a good amount of my dignity, I have gained such remarkable perspective on the history of cinema that I would never have had otherwise. Some of these films may not be very good, most in fact are not, but somehow each of them manages to bring something worthwhile to the table that they do better than any other. There is always something to appreciate if you really look hard. Watching these with April has been beyond fulfilling. To watch and feel through the eyes of someone who loves so much is a privilege and a feeling I will not take for granted. To see the musical live as a culmination of a life's passion for her was an indescribably powerful moment. There was an energy running through her into me when that chandelier went up, and I will never forget it. Please, never lose your interests. Never lose your loves, no matter how ridiculous, goth and cringe they may be.
I am the gayest supervillain ever. Beware my scented candle.